Yo, what the hell, what the hell, what the hell? He can't get to the cell, but he can sell it out. Cause it ain't hard to tell what the fuck Brian Shell about. Do I have to spell it out? Money, power, respect. Boats with honeys on deck, cash only, no check. Uber in the Toyota Corolla, snacking on your daughter into mom's granola. Straight water, no cola. He's eating clean, getting lean, living the dream. Went from a dumpster fire to being admired. #1 draft pick up for hire. So send your offers to www.briantoddshell at GameChangers.com. That's Game Changers with $3 and 2 Z's, as if you didn't know. Tweet at him at Twitter handle 15 grams of meth. Later, the cobwebs are officially knocked the fuck out. The only thing longer than that Twitter handle is his new mixtape, Transgenerational Anthem, hitting stores just in time for the holidays, featuring a total of 97 tracks, 3 of which are sure to be holiday classics. A G is Born, Seasons Beatings, and my personal favorite, Merry Motherfucking Kwanzaa. It's got your hard-hitting club bangers such as Big Booty Go Smack. This shit's harder than a fully loaded Tech 9. It makes Yo Gotti look like Steve Harvey, softer than vegan yogurt. You don't want to miss this shit. Holla at your boy for real.
Yeah, 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 yeah. Pop the molly, I'll swing. 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 Mama always told me, boy, count your bingo. So I kept counting them frankly.
All right, welcome back to Season 1, Episode 5, Step 5. What's been going on with you, Shotgun?
Well, I'll tell you what, man. Things are changing, and they're changing at a rapid pace. I am just happy that this whole thing is over, gone.
We have won the war.
We have kicked COVID ass. That's what we did. It's time to celebrate. It's time to get out and start partying down. Man, I'll tell you what. I got sometimes I got a mask on, sometimes I don't. People I know, I'm like, hey, check this out. I'm going to go ahead and just start hugging everybody I know. That's my whole new rule. If I know you, I'm like, come on, give me some love. Get on in here.
Yeah, this is super exciting. So I feel like this is the second war I fought in my lifetime. The first war being the war on drugs, and I originally fought that war. My weapon of choice was consumption. Now I'm on the opposite end of the spectrum, and I'm just trying to promote recovery. So originally I was just trying to consume as many substances as possible to get those drugs off the streets, get them out of the hands of minors. Now I've found recovery, and my weapon of choice is podcasting and just, spreading the good word.
That's right. And, it's a shame they don't have any medals to give out for whooping COVID's ass, because honestly, I feel like I've done more than my share, more than my part, especially now. It's like, hey, they're like, hey, you can go out. I'm like, I'm going out. I'm like, maybe I'll wear a mask, maybe I won't. It just depends on where I'm going, who I meet, who I see. It's the same thing in my house. Apparently COVID can live on certain surfaces for only so long. So certain ones I wipe down at certain times of the day. If it's aluminum, it can probably stay there for a little while longer. If it's my table, well, I'll probably wipe it down after a couple hours. So different times, different things. They say that it can survive on different surfaces for different amounts of time. And I'm just trying to figure that out as I do my rotation, my cleaning rotation in the house. That's just one of the many things. Like I said, I've been going out. I've been meeting folks. I told them, I said, hey, get on in here. Give me some love. Let's get a hug going.
Yeah, and I know it can be confusing because some of the information is conflicting, but when it comes to fighting this war on COVID-19, my weapon of choice is information. I've just been consuming a lot of information, dissecting it, figuring out exactly what it means. So I'm really excited to share that with you guys during this check-in. So some of the things I've noticed are the beaches have opened back up, which
big fan.
Beaches should open up. We're winning the war. Now, there are some restrictions. So you can run, walk, jog, and swim in the ocean itself. However, lounging on the beach is a big no.
Can't do that.
Which,
got to stay active. Got to be like a shark on the beach.
Yeah, that leads me to believe that it's difficult to spread or contract the virus if we are being active. So we've both, Shotgun and myself, have increased our activity to continue to win this war on
Oh,
COVID-19.
Absolutely. If I go anywhere, you better believe I'm just like I'm moving around, in and out, just like a shark. Constant movement, and try to keep my hands to myself.
Yeah, so another thing we've noticed is a lot of restaurants in our area, they've opened back up. Now, they do ask that you wear a mask all the way until you get to your table and start eating. So what that leads us to believe is that while eating, we can't, again, contract or spread the virus. So we've been snacking a lot more. Like instead of eating 3 big meals, we're eating like 36 snacks a day is what we're doing.
Easily. Oh, man. And I'll tell you, it's terrific. There's a lot of great snack foods out there. There really is. And it's a constant thing. You got to stay safe in these times.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, like another big thing we noticed, which this is no longer a restriction, but Shotgun and myself, we just like to err on the side of caution. So we realized that during the shelter in place, motorboats were banned, but paddle boats weren't banned. So we've been trying, obviously that leads us to believe that engines help spread or allow me to more easily transmit the disease. So we've been trying to bicycle more, use more paddle boats, just kind of avoid anything with an engine in it, just to kind of slow down the spread of the disease.
Yeah, it's too bad. I had this scooter for a while, and I don't even use it. It's all powered by me. That's just the best way to go. If it has an engine and it'll go, I'm out.
Yeah, and the mask can be a little confusing too, and oftentimes I feel Shotgun and myself are really wearing the mask more for style points. We've gotten some very stylish masks, but the masks can be incredibly effective in helping us not to transmit the disease. And my dad, he's part of the vulnerable population, and he recently went back to work, and part of the regulations of going back to work is he is asked to wear a mask at all times, regardless of how far he is from his coworkers, regardless of if he's the only one in the office. And he works in Harrison, Indiana, which leads me to believe that the virus is probably a little heavier out there because of those restrictions that they've put on him. Another really interesting thing about the restriction is if he uses his own mask, he needs to wash it every day. However, if he doesn't have his own mask, they'll provide him with a disposable mask, and that's actually good for 2 weeks. So if you guys can get your hands on the disposable masks, those obviously are more effective than the homemade masks. Yeah. And again, I don't know the science behind that, but we're just dissecting the information and drawing some strong conclusions from the information we've been given.
Yeah, that really is your best weapon. Information is the way to go. Consume, get as much of it as you can, because then that way when somebody tries to kind of push back on you or says, hey, what are you doing, what you're doing, you can go, well, I'll tell you why I'm doing what I'm doing. So right here, I've been doubling down on YouTube videos, a lot of good stuff on there. Mm-hmm. Getting on WebMD as much as I can. I don't have a membership to it, but I do get the bits and pieces that I am allowed to get. But again, probably my best resource has just been YouTube. Rock solid information out there.
Yeah, YouTube's been great. Facebook's been great. Obviously,
Facebook, yeah.
The press conferences, we have a team of experts and a president in place who has told us we've won this war. So sometimes, again, like I said, that information can be conflicting. It's a lot like recovery. Take what you want, leave the rest.
Leave the rest. That's right. Just leave the rest.
That's really what Shotgun and I have been doing. We've been listening to both the president and his team of experts, and whatever information we like more, that's what we're applying to our lives. We suggest you all do the same.
Absolutely, because it's over, man. We kicked its ass.
Yep. Pandemic over. America won. So
it's time to get the economy back in shape, up and running, start kicking ass.
Yeah, it's time to, as the president says, make America great again. With that being said, I think we're ready to make this podcast great again and get into a little bit of step 5.
Absolutely. Can't wait. I'm absolutely ready to jump right on down the rabbit hole.
So step 5, we admitted to God, to ourselves, and another human being the exact nature of our wrongs. There's quite a bit to digest here in this step. Do you want to share a little bit about how you did step 5, Shotgun?
Well, yeah, I can tell you, I just thought, hey, there's a lot to unpack here. There's at least, and I'm just going conservative here, probably 9,000 gods that you could kind of choose from. And I was like, well, I probably have to narrow it down. I mean, that's just entirely too many for me to even keep up with. And the first thing I thought is, hey, I've got all this stuff written down. I'm ready to kind of rock and roll. I immediately went over to Detox Dan's house and rang the doorbell like I'm prone to do. And he wasn't there. But I knew that he had Ring. I thought, why not just get a chair, which I did, pulled it right on up, sat there on the porch, and I figured, hey, man, he'll be seeing it. All he's got to do is check in on his phone. And,
yeah, when you're ready to go, you're ready to go.
I was ready to go. And I said, hey, I'm going to do this right now. And I pulled up a chair, sat in front of the Ring doorbell, and just started going at it, started reading what I had. That lasted for maybe 15, 20 minutes. And then what happened is that one of the neighbors came out and said something to me and said, hey, what are you doing? Yada, yada, yada. This is, you realize that there's a feed that goes out to the whole neighborhood, which I did not know that. I had no idea. And at first, I'll be honest with you, I was kind of skeptical and I just kept on reading. But then somebody drove by and yelled a couple of things. And then somebody else drove by and said, hey, what are you doing, asshole? And we don't care. So I thought, well, I guess I'm going to have to find another method to do this with, and or to do what I wanted to do. So I kind of gave up on that idea, and just said, hey, I'll get back to you, Detox, and let you know when I can. There's other people that I also thought, hey, what do I really kind of worship, or what's a power greater than me? So I started going through my phone book and looking up old girlfriends.
Yeah, and I think that's probably one of the most challenging parts of this step. It's like, well, the reason we're going through these 12 steps is because we're in desperate need of a spiritual awakening. Like, who are we to say what God is? But we definitely want to do this step to the best of our ability and share this inventory with God. We put all this time into writing it. We want to make sure God hears it. We want to make sure we share it with God. So I was having the same issues as Brian, just confusion, well, how do I get this inventory into God's hands? How do I share this with God? So what I did was I went back to step 2 and I took a look at what those powers greater than myself were. And the first one I came up with, if you guys remember, was the Illuminati.
Oh, that's right. I remember.
So I'm like, how do I share this inventory with the Illuminati? And I thought, well, obviously, YouTube, that's where all the Illuminati information is shared.
Absolutely, which is a great idea. I thought about that too, and I thought, you know what? If I was an alien, where would I be, and what would I be checking out the most? And I thought, well, probably Facebook. And I went ahead and just went to Facebook Live immediately, and started sharing. And I guess somewhere along the line, I must have crossed over some sort of lines because I got shut down. They just said, hey, you cannot record this anymore, which I was kind of shocked and stunned. But, hey, I figured that at least some of the aliens probably got some of what I was trying to convey to them immediately.
Yeah, and my YouTube video, it was probably up for 6 or 7 hours before they took it down. They ended up taking it down because if you guys remember, some of my fear inventory that I shared on step 4 involved just some theories that Bernie Sanders and Colonel Sanders were the same man, and that Mark Wahlberg was actually a robot. And apparently those kind of theories are not welcome on YouTube, and they did something, I think it's called shadow banning, with my video. But I'm hoping the video was out for enough time that the Illuminati actually heard it.
Right. Well, yeah, and here's the thing. Whether they did or didn't, we'll never know, because that's part of being in the Illuminati. They're not going to tell you.
Yeah, well, I mean, some of the other powers that were greater than myself included Death Row Records, so obviously it's not possible to talk to Suge Knight right now, but I went ahead and just sent him a copy of my inventory. The Hells Angels, there's actually this biker bar in Price Hill that is open during the pandemic, so I actually went against my better judgment. I walked into that bar and I just sat down and I started sharing inventory.
Well, yeah, and that's the thing is that you always got to remember that what you're wearing when you go into a place like that is really important. And, first thing, just wearing a colored mask probably going to get you off on the wrong foot right away.
Yeah, it did, and they made fun of another power greater than myself for those Nike Vaporflies, which I went ahead and ordered a pair of those, and I opened the box and I just read my inventory to them.
Now, I had some other interesting things that happened along the way where I was just able to kind of share the inventory as I went along. My niece had a parent-teacher conference, and my sister couldn't get there, so I said, well, I'll go ahead and fill in. This seemed like a great opportunity for me to just go ahead and go, hey, great, love hearing all about what's going on with my niece. Sounds like she's really doing well. She's excelling, super, super big, super great. I went ahead and just said, hey, I got some stuff that I need to unload too. That lasted a little while. It seemed like maybe I could be hurting kind of my niece's standing there at the school, so I went ahead and kind of backed off. I got the impression that wasn't why I was there or what I should be doing there. She made that eminently clear to me.
Yeah, it's interesting. I asked Trenchcoat Tom, I was like, do I have to share this with you? And he's like, well, no, Ben, the way it reads is another human being.
Right.
So I was like, great, because Trenchcoat, as everyone knows, has been very judgmental of me, which doesn't really make it encouraging for me to share this inventory with him. That being said, he did strongly encourage me to share it with him. He said it's going to be easier to go through the rest of the steps if I share it with him. But that being said, he gave me the option to share it with anybody I wanted. And he also told me that if I go to people and tell them, like, this is a spiritual exercise, I'm trying to get better, they're going to look at this as an honor to hear my fifth step, but that wasn't exactly my experience.
Yeah, no, it hasn't been mine either. I had a job interview there on Zoom, and they said, hey, tell me a little bit
about yourself.
That's right.
Yeah.
And I thought, this is a perfect opportunity. I said, hold on. I went and grabbed my inventory and immediately started going right down the rabbit hole. And they were like, whoa, 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 pump the brakes here. What are you talking about? And I said, well, you said tell you a little bit about myself. I'm going to get right on into it. I'm being honest. I'm being transparent. Detox Dan has encouraged me to be as honest as you possibly can. And I said, this is a great opportunity. Needless to say, I'm still waiting to hear back from them. I don't know if I'm going to get that job or not.
Yeah, I had a very similar experience. I met a girl on Tinder. At first, we're just exchanging messages through the app. Eventually, I get her phone number. I give her a call. She says, tell me a little bit about yourself, Ben. I was like, perfect opportunity. I broke out that inventory. I didn't even make it to, the most important part with relationships is that sex inventory. I didn't even make it past fear inventory, and she told me never to call her again.
Yeah, which I just don't understand. People, they say, hey, tell me about yourself. I'm like, hey, we're going to get right down to it. I'm going to tell you all about myself. Same thing. I was kind of in line, just making idle chit-chat at Kroger's. Same thing started happening, and I said, you know what? I got a little something I'd like to show you out of my car, and nothing major, nothing nefarious or anything like that. And I busted out my inventory. I started reading my inventory, and this gal could not get away from me quick enough, which I still don't understand. I said, hey, you're super attractive. You're somebody I could see again, I've had this problem in the past. I said, I found myself worshiping other things, worshiping beautiful women.
Sometimes
that was a compliment.
Yeah, something happened very similar to me. So, like with my probation officer, who was one of the powers greater than myself, but also a human being. So I was like, this is a perfect person to share this with, and she's always asking me, like, to check in with her, let me know how I'm doing. Not only did she not let me finish my inventory, but she actually threatened to charge me with some more charges. Like, she was not excited to hear that stuff at all.
Yeah, it has not gone according to plan, I can tell you that, but I have not given up at all. I continue to find spots and places where I'm like, hey, you know what, you're another human being. This seems like a really good opportunity for me to get through this, because at the end of the day, that's what I'm trying to do. I'm trying to get from the beginning to the end of this, because I'm trying to wake up the spirit.
Well, I started to get so desperate just to share this with another human being, because Trenchcoat gave me the impression that it was going to be easy to find a human being to listen to this, that a telemarketer called me to let me know that my not my car insurance, but my car warranty had expired. And I was like, who knew? Like, there's some other stuff going on with me too. Besides my car warranty, there's all this other baggage I've been carrying around. You got a little bit of time. They said, yeah, and then they cut me off. Like, I didn't even make it past my resentment with Colin Powell for stealing my childhood dog, and they cut me off.
Oh man, see, I don't. It's been more frustrating than not. I did have somebody reach out to me. I'm pretty sure it was from the Ring app. I mean, I'm going to go with that. And he said, hey, you can come on over. You can share whatever you want. So I said, hey, this is a great opportunity. Finally, somebody who's on my side. I get over there, and I don't know. I'm just going to say it, the way I'm going to call it the way I see it. I think he had something else in mind other than me sharing with him. So I went ahead and just cut out of there. But again, I'm still looking. I'm still searching. I'm putting it out there. I mean, Detox is like, hey, maybe we could just make a time and do it all in one fatal swoop. I'm not really sure that's what I want to do.
Yeah, and I mean, I eventually was able to share my inventory with a Jehovah's Witness when they came to the door. Those people, I don't know, they'll listen to pretty much anything. He listened to, from start to finish, he hung out with me for about 5 hours it took.
Big fan. See, if I would have known that, I would have signed up myself. I would have said, hey, just send him on over and see, because I got plenty of inventory to drop on somebody. There's no doubt about that. I also tried to share it in a Zoom meeting, and they cut me off. They said, hey, keep coming back, but we're not here for that today.
Yeah, I ran into that same dilemma. It was actually an in-person AA meeting, and it was outside, and they asked for a topic, and I just thought this was a good time to break out my inventory, and it kind of goes again with sharing it with another human being and a higher power, because group of drunks, you know what I mean? Good orderly direction. Group of degenerates. There's a lot of degenerates there. I was like, this could really just knock out two birds with one stone, God and another human being. So I started sharing that, and an older woman, probably been sober 20, 30 years, cut me off, and she said, then this isn't appropriate. This is something you and Trenchcoat should do. And I was like, no. Trenchcoat said I can share this with any person.
Right, and it's hard to get all those things synced up. Another human being, a power greater than myself. I mean, I got to get both of those things at the same time, theoretically.
Well, they don't necessarily have to be at the same time. But they could be. Yeah, so like when I was posting my videos to YouTube for the Illuminati or sending that letter to Suge Knight, like I don't necessarily think that's just God. You know what I mean? That's just a higher power. So I was still, when sending those letters out, making those YouTube videos, I was still under the impression that I was going to have to actually find a mortal, a human being to share it with as well.
That makes sense.
But obviously, in an ideal world, you can share it with God and a human being all at the same time.
See, that's why we do this podcast. A lot of clarity has already come for me, because I was somewhat confused, obviously, about that.
Well, it does sound like you've put a lot of effort into sharing it with God, and don't get me wrong, you've put a lot of effort into sharing it with another human being too. It just doesn't sound like you've been 100% successful with sharing it with another human being.
No, I got bits and pieces all over town and all over videos and all over. I mean, there's a little bit of it everywhere.
Sure. Well, with that being said, because I know I feel comfortable that I worked step 5. I made a YouTube video. I did the Facebook Live. I know you did the Facebook Live. I wrote multiple rappers. I went to the forest to say my inventory to bears, which again, another power greater than myself. And then I was legitimately able to share my inventory from start to finish with that Jehovah's Witness.
Well, yeah, I wrote it all out, and I made copies of it. Now, when I sent it to people that I considered a power greater than myself, and I've got a mixed response. A lot of them feel like they're asking me if this is a manifesto. And I'm like, well, no, it's not a manifesto. This is my inventory. So some said that they were going to contact the authorities. Others said that there was going to be, that they were worried and concerned about my well-being. Others have told me that I probably need to go see somebody, talk to somebody, maybe get a psychiatrist.
Well, that's what you're trying to do.
Well, that's what I said. I said, hey, what do you think I'm doing here? I'm trying to talk to you. I don't need to talk to a psychiatrist. I don't need to be on any kind of medications. This is not a manifesto. So there's been some confusion.
It's a spiritual exercise is what it is.
Right, and that's what I keep telling them. Same thing happened when I was in the yoga class. They said, hey, you know what, you're in yoga class right now. And I said, well, right, where else am I supposed to get spiritual? This is a spiritual exercise.
Yeah, yoga is a perfect place, I would think, to share
And
inventory.
that's what I thought too. Well, apparently not. And again, the same kind of response. You might want to talk to somebody else. You might want to talk to somebody who's a psychiatrist. You might. And I said, hey, I don't need any mental health.
Like, I'm trying to live a spiritual way of life. This is part of my spiritual practice. I'm trying to have a spiritual awakening.
I'm just trying to share it with you guys. Share it with the group.
Yeah, it's interesting too, because some of the people I tried to share it with, they're familiar with 12-step programs, but obviously they're not in a 12-step program, or they would have been more receptive.
Well, clearly. I mean, hey, man, this is a practice. You got to practice it to get better.
Yeah, because it was like when I was in the line, the drive-through line at Taco Bell, and I started trying to share my inventory. I mean, this guy was clearly a drug addict. I mean, you could just tell. He couldn't be a stranger to a 12-step program, but he acted like I was way out of line. He's like, you want the nacho cheese chalupa? Or what exactly do you want here?
What are you trying to order? And I said, I'm trying to order up a spiritual experience. I'm trying to practice these principles in all my affairs.
Mm-hmm.
Everywhere I go, everybody I meet, everybody I'm in contact with. And Detox told me that I might be a little confused or fuzzy on that.
Well, yeah, and I mean, that being said, though, I think you've definitely done your best. You've shared this with God, and you've shared it with many human beings, but I would encourage you, Shotgun, to try and find a human being that will listen to it from start to finish, because when I shared it with that Jehovah's Witness, that's when I really got that relief. I was just like, you know what? There is another human being out there, for sure, that I know has heard everything about me, all of my character defects, all of my shortcomings from start to finish. That being said, like, I'm sure there are some other people that watched the YouTube video, that saw the Facebook Live, but this man, for sure, heard everything, and there was just a sense of freedom that came from that.
Well, I had already said to Detox, Dan, would you be okay if I went ahead and did it on the Ring app and did maybe a reenactment? I also had some sock puppets where I thought that maybe I could also, just so we're super clear on everything that's going on. And he said no, that none of that would be necessary, that all I had to do was just come to him and meet him at his house, and that he would set aside some time for me to sit down with him and go from start to finish. Although I did say I'm going to still bring the sock puppets just in case, because I do think that it helps to really, really, it just illuminates more of what was happening and what was going on. It's almost a reenactment.
Well, yeah, this idea that a reenactment's not necessary is like completely absurd. And Trenchcoat Tom told me the same thing. He said, Ben, if there's a word for it, somebody else has done it. And I've shared this many times, but there's not a word for everything that I've done. And luckily that Jehovah's Witness was perfectly okay with me doing reenactments. We were fully clothed, no penetration, anything like that, obviously. But yeah, and he said that he had a much better understanding of what I was talking about after those reenactments.
Well, yeah, and I just think sometimes the sock puppets really clarify, really kind of just crystallize exactly what went down, exactly how it happened.
Well, in Shotgun and myself, we've talked about doing sock puppets like during his lead, or like I would be doing sock puppets, or during my lead, he would be doing sock puppets, just to kind of add to the
Absolutely. I'm willing to do an interpretive dance to anybody's lead. You can call me, book me, I'm in. I won't charge you much to do it at all.
No, and it will add a lot to your lead.
It'll enhance it.
But with that being said, I think we've covered step 5.
Absolutely, I do as well. I feel like we have gone through and turned over a lot of stones here, and I can tell you that I feel like my spirit is starting to wake up a little bit. It was groggy. It was definitely feeling like it was trying to knock out and bang out the cobwebs, and I feel like we're getting there.
I feel like I did right before I went in for my colonoscopy. I just feel completely empty. Like, I mean, in a good way, though. Like, I am just, all of that stuff I was carrying around, all of that baggage is just gone.
Yep, I am a vessel ready to be filled, so to speak.
Yeah, I am.
Fill me up.
I am 100% ready to jump into step 6, and we'll talk more about that next week. But I think, if it's okay with you, Shotgun, I think this is a great time for a word from one of our sponsors.
Absolutely. I'm super excited about our new sponsor. Wouldn't it be nice to eat anything, I mean absolutely anything you wanted, and not worry about the calories or the amount of fat you're digesting? Think about it. Wagyu beef, saffron, oysters, white truffles, foie gras, caviar. Well, now you can. Our product has been handmade in an abandoned trap house by 2 reformed individuals. Faux food, We use a combination of tofu and good old-fashioned engineering to bring you this outstanding product. Our proprietary blend will have you saying, I can't believe it's not food. I can't believe how good this shit tastes. Each day, a new meal will arrive from our faux food hot plate. Simply enter the Almost Sobes code, the faux food discount code, and your zip code. Then you just merely pick the country you want to eat from, and after that, you pick from what we have left in stock. It's that simple and amazing. Your subscription begins when you enter your email. You will be billed every other week for the next 3 months of food. Canceling is even easier. Cross-reference paragraph 4 of section 32B from our disclaimer page and call our 900 number with that code. It's merely that easy. Faux food, it's so good. I can't believe it's not food.
I can't tell you how excited I am about this new sponsor, but with that being said, we are almost out of time, Shotgun. I want to take a quick question from one of our listeners, if that's okay with you.
Absolutely, a quick hitter.
So this question comes from Mark W. in Arizona. Hey guys, love the podcast. I can't tell you how much of a vital role your podcast has played in getting me through this pandemic. That being said, my state's getting ready to reopen face-to-face meetings. I'm both super excited to return to meetings and super cautious. I'm just looking for some suggestions on how I can stay safe as I return to face-to-face meetings. Well, thank you, Mark. That's a great question.
Great question. Wonderful question. I immediately think, hey, you know what? I hope others know about this too, but I saw where you can get gas masks online, and they're pretty cheap, and they're going to keep you safe. And if you're worried about your anonymity, you don't have to anymore. That's certainly one of the things, and that's if you feel like it. If you don't feel like wearing a mask, then don't wear a mask.
Yeah, those things cover your eyes and everything, though, because there were some rumors, or I could be valid, that the infection could spread through your eyes. So the gas mask is a great idea. Some other things that we already talked about in our check-in and with faux food. So eating. Apparently when you're eating, you can't transmit.
Oh, that's right.
Yeah, get the virus. So I think our sponsor, Faux Foods, would be a great asset to you. So if you're eating faux foods during the meeting, you're protecting yourself and those around you, and you're not gaining any unwanted weight.
No, you're not. You're not digesting any unnecessary calories or fat or protein for that matter.
Yeah, that being said, another thing that we kind of, again, we already talked about this, but you want to stay active. And I know in meetings you don't want to distract those around you, so you don't want to get up, do jumping jacks, run in place. But one way you could stay active without, being a disruption to the meeting is perhaps a shake weight.
Yeah, shake weight will keep you busy. There's certainly that. You could maybe bring a little dumbbell with you and something that you could just do little curls. You might be able to find, and I don't know, it just depends on how the spacing is, just a little circle that you could just walk around in over and over and over again, just kind of almost like a roundabout in place.
Yeah, and I'm not sure how old you are, Mark, but just this is a suggestion for you if you're over the age of 70 or any of our listeners that are over the age of 70. You probably don't want to be hugging people at meetings. So the one meeting I went to that was face-to-face, and an older woman asked if she could hug me, and before I could finish speaking, I was like, hey, you're the one that's going to die from this. She's hugging me. So just let's use common sense, guys. Probably if you're old, let's not hug people.
Yeah, there is that too, and I think that, hey, if you're going to wear a mask, sometimes you might want to also wear a mask to cover your eyes too, just to get the full effect, get the full look. I'm just talking about style points here, but I do think that it's a good look. It's also going to keep everybody safe, and quite frankly, they're going to be interested and want to engage in conversation with you immediately to find out what your motives are for going to the meeting.
Yeah, and I would suggest, like, at the end of the meeting, I'm not sure how they end the meetings in Arizona, but a lot of the recovery meetings I go to, they end with the Lord's Prayer and you hold hands. So I would just act like I'm at church with no family, and I just raise my hands to my side, like in the air, and say the prayer, but don't actually hold hands.
Yeah, just raise your hands up like you're and look up if you feel like it, and I just think that that's a good look right there. But we're going to see, because like I said, it's really a matter of how you feel too. Sometimes this is just a matter of what's going on with you on that day, that moment, that time, how you're feeling. You might want to just, I don't know, maybe put your arm around somebody next to you, but that's entirely up to you.
Yeah, at the end of the day, Mark, trust and rely on God. I hope that answers your question. With that being said, just a little quick disclaimer. The views, the thoughts, the opinions, everything voiced here today do not represent any 12-step program, any program of recovery, any treatment centers, no religions. They're simply the views and opinions of Shotgun and myself. And as you know, we're on our journey, and those views and opinions are constantly changing.
Always in flux.
Yeah, so check out the show notes. If you haven't liked and subscribed to the podcast already, please do that right now. We really need more subscribers.
Yeah, we need subscribers, and we need you to download the episodes. That's what we're being told. We need more downloads, so to speak.
Yeah, we need more downloads. And if you liked what you heard today, send us an email. If you have any questions, email your questions to us. It's AlmostSobes@gmail.com, and I'll put all the social media links in the show notes. We do have the t-shirts. We're getting ready to set up a Patreon account. And again, I'll add all of this stuff in the show notes.
Yeah, so there's a lot of different social media platforms to reach us on. We clearly you can get to us on email, Facebook, on our page, on Podbean. We're also on iTunes. And
we're on iHeartRadio. Anywhere you find podcasts, you will find Almost Sobes. So with that being said, if this episode helped keep you sober today, share it with somebody. Do some service work. Keep somebody sobes. Thank you so much for listening.
Peace out, bitches.
Swing. Pop the molly, I'm 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 swing.